Come on, knucklehead. No problem, ma'am.
Morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm totally vaccinated. I'm good.
Me too, yes, sir.
I'm good. I'm
Yes,
good.
sir, yeah.
I can go places. I can go see my grandchildren.
Look at that. Look at that.
I'm ready to roll.
I heard that. You going to the funeral?
The Pete's.
Yeah. Okay, Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, he was monarch. There'll be so many folks there.
Is that right?
Yeah, they tell us to bring chairs.
Oh, no, is it?
It's outside.
Okay.
Yeah, it's outside.
Because of COVID.
I don't know. The cause of death, what was it?
Oh, just over age. Yeah, 'cause Pete's got to be 88.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. See, Dorothy, his wife, well, Pete was a grown man when I was a child.
Oh, is that right?
And I will be 70 this year, so come on now. He was a very old man. And this, asset manager's position, cause it is going out through CH, not through MHA. Isn't that right, Mr. Chairman?
But that's the way it's designed.
So
That's the way we go operate.
we can get that going. Right.
Brother Eddie.
Mr. Eddings, how are you this morning, sir? Yes, sir.
It's been a minute, man. It's been a minute.
That's what happens when we was out there with Capital One.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Well, see, Myra, you should know my son. He's
Just
got,
about, and mine over there central.
Yeah,
Just turned 16.
Okay.
Just turned 16.
Chairman, you go.
before we get started, I'd like to advise that due to the CARES Act money, going forward, all our monthly board meetings or any meeting that we may have will be televised. And you can reach that link at either www.mhapha.org or littlerockhousing.org going forward. The monthly meeting of the Little Rock Housing Authority doing business as the Metropolitan Housing Alliance is called to order. Ms. McKinney, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Commissioner Lowe,
Here.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Here.
Commissioner Jackson,
Here.
Commissioner Anthony,
Here.
Commissioner Peterson.
Present.
You have a quorum.
You have before you the agenda items going forward. The chair does reserve the right to move things around for expediency. Any changes, additions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I recommend the addition of, board retreat as a discussion item.
So noted. Is there a motion?
Motion to add, board retreat, to new business, action items.
Second.
It's been moved to properly second that we add an item of new business to the agenda. All in favor of the change, please say aye. All opposed? Moving forward, need a motion for the approval of the modified agenda.
Motion to approve the modified agenda.
Second.
Been approved, properly approved and moved that we adopt the modified agenda as approved. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? None. You have before you the 4 prior meetings of minutes. Is there any deletions, additions, subtractions, or changes? not, I'll move for a motion.
So move.
Second.
Moved and properly second, that we adopt the minutes of the meetings of February 12th, February 25th, March 2nd, and March the 5th. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. Do have two cards for public participation. And the first one that came up was Mr. Dukes.
Mr. Dukes.
Yeah, you're up.
Glad to see you this morning, Mr. Dukes.
Thank you for seeing me. Look, I just be curious, and I like to ask the chairman, would it be possible for me to speak on behalf of someone that's not with me? This person resides at Sunset.
Does it relate to the subject matter?
It relates greatly to the subject matter.
Okay.
Uh,
If no objection from any other members, I don't have a problem.
I might have some objection with these two, but that's matter. I have several things that are going on, but I can only engage for 3 minutes. And I guess we all know why, because the pandemic has dealt some serious issues toward us. But here's one thing I want to tell you. When y'all go home, I reside at Parish Towers, that's in a resident where we is, and hey, it's inflicted some. Some have had it better, some have not. But it's an area now that's going, I can't say certain words, but it's going in a handbag. And I mean, several things need to be discussed. Even with the work that was recently done, we have falters, it looked like second grade, and you don't know who to blame. I've been without a meeting for well over a year while I'm waiting on you two now. But I can't proceed unless I get some cooperation from you. I used to have monthly meetings, and I had an agenda where people were coming. Now we don't have a place unless it's Gorman that's gonna have showing a movie, or we got people that's gonna come and give a COVID shot. My attendance relies on this. When I speak volumes and they hear me. I don't have to have a microphone, but they're gonna hear me and they want to know. There are some people that don't care, but there are some people that actually want to know. Like Stacy Brown, I'm speaking on her behalf right now. She's wondering about Sunset. Now this is her part of town. This is where she resides. But we all share the same concerns. And we're not being heard, we think. Certainly not at where I am at Parish Towers. I think they're lacking and slacking. I mean, understaffed. I'm just going to speak my mind on what I see. I can say what they don't want to say because I'm not afraid of it. Now, this is what's going on. And the people, rather than go and ask management, they're supposed to come to me. And I appreciate that. But, I'm growing tired of that also. But they need representation. Should I back out? Should I just say, hey, to heck with it? Someone's got to be. If I just back out and say I don't care, I'm putting myself in the shoes of the many that are doing the same. So I'm just asking, serving two bosses. Was it going to be MHA or Gorman?
Don't be going, but I can tell you that now.
Well, somebody's doing a sorry job, and if it's Gorman, I can call them out. It's not being done officially right by me. Now, once I get back in that board meeting, and my board, and ask the residents, we're going to have something that, hey, somebody's not doing these people right and needs checking out. Because some is smelling foul right now, and it needs to be checked out.
Are you not having any resident meetings at all?
I'm not having any, it's been a year since COVID, and they haven't had one. I've got to get my agenda together, my board together, all of this. And I understand that. But I'm not having anything that won't let me. We got enough in there, we can get 50 people separated by 6 feet in that community room.
That's accessible.
Did we not have training?
We had training, my understanding, I thought all the boards were set up. to have meetings, because I know, Powell's, they start to have meetings as well.
Yeah, and we'd have the largest room than any of the towers.
But, Mr. Dukes,
Yes,
let me give you some, I don't wanna call it legal advice.
well, you can,
But,
I'm open to
now,
you.
I'm not a lawyer, okay?
Alright.
But let me refer you to the law, okay? Write these numbers down.
Yeah, I am.
24 CFR 964. Within that regulation, it doesn't say that Gorman can tell you when and when not to meet. You can meet anytime you want to.
Exactly.
Because that CFR says
Yeah.
that management has to, it didn't say if it wanted to, it has to work with the resident council,
Uh-huh.
along with the residents, to address not only management of the facility,
Uh-huh.
but any problems that go on with that facility, okay?
Okay, understand this. Sometimes when you're held at bay, and if you don't know, it's better than when you know, it's better than when you don't know.
Well, let me put this on your plate.
Okay, you done gave me 24 CFR
964.
964.
If you're not getting what is allowed under that CFR,
Uh-huh.
you can file a complaint with HUD against Gorman, okay?
That is within me holding my meetings and whatever to keep my
Yes, sir.
residents informed.
Yes, sir.
This is what I need to know.
Yes, sir. You can't file a complaint with HUD.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
it has been, that the board has meetings from tower to tower.
Correct. They're
It
supposed
may
to.
be that we need to have our next meeting at Parish Towers.
Yeah,
I would
that's,
agree.
that's within our realm of the first quarter of having meetings at our different locations, so.
So I would, make a motion.
We still have.
We don't,
have
that's just routine, you know, we decide where our meeting's gonna be and how that, so.
Then we need
We've
our-
decided that it's gonna be in Paris in March. I mean, not March, I'm sorry.
April.
April, I'm sorry.
Now, excuse me for interrupting. When and if you do that, you're gonna see more than just a triple effect. Because it's something that the people are interested in, it's some concerns that they have grievances. And this would be the best place to bring
Live now,
bring
right?
a matter to them. And I'm serious about this, because right now, I don't like the way things are going at Parish Towers. But since you've given me this 24 CFR 964,
Yes, sir.
it's something to be looked at, and I can get together with my board and with the help try to proceed. Because you know what? I've never been afraid to say it to anybody. Matter of fact, I find it hard to call those sister so-and-so or madam so-and-so. Hey, look, that commands respect from me.
Yeah, that's correct.
Because I don't ask them to call me Mr. President, but they do.
We have a question from our,
From Ms. Hampton, we
From our
can't hear
director.
her.
Oh, my God. I'm
Can't
talking-
hear her.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, thank you, and let me formally say hello and bring you greetings on behalf of Dr. Jarman and the team and I. I just wanted to say to Mr. Dukes and any of the other resident councils, he did remark that the pandemic had shut things down. We will work with with Gorman to ensure that they can have use of everything, so we will check with them and make sure of all of the social distancing requirements going forward. And I noticed that you all have said you would like your next meeting at Paris Towers. So the staff will work with Gorman to facilitate that meeting and continue the facilitation of coordination with the resident council so they can go back. But I know everyone is still concerned about social distancing and however, so we will work with Gorman to facilitate, working with Mr. Dukes and through Ivan to facilitate so they can start back up with their meetings. We will want to adhere to all state requirements or local requirements, and we'll do that and also keep the board abreast. So just wanted to thank Mr. Dukes for bringing that forward, and we will work at the direction of Dr. Jarman to get that done.
Well, not only that, Mr. Dukes, there is a clause in there that says that if you don't want management in your meeting,
I was
They got-
informed.
they
that-
got to go,
I was
okay?
informed of it. Now, see, here's the thing,
They got to
excuse me
go.
for cutting you off. They've always played that I am the boss.
no, we
And
are,
look here, look,
we're
you-
partners, okay?
We're supposed
We're
to be.
partners.
But look, I try to get up every morning with a cheerful and loving attitude. Now, I can speak like that, but would you rather see me like that, or would you ever rather see me with the other side of me? When you flip that coin, instead of standing up tails. If you want that side of me, I can give you a show, Ringing Brothers and Barnum. It's not what I want,
Right.
and the people will follow my lead. But I know what's being done is not right.
Well, that's why I gave you
And
that.
I'm gonna
that-
investigate these numbers that you gave me and
That's why I
see
gave
what
you
I
the
can give up.
Right.
Ms. Hamilton, we're
Yes,
gonna,
ma'am.
we're gonna send it back to you so that we do, for staff to follow up on. I would ask also that Gorman staff be trained,
Of course.
on the rights and privileges of resident councils, because it is always the local group where we usually have these issues. So I would ask also that the property managers, the staff in the buildings be trained on the CFR and the rights of the resident councils.
We will. Thank you so much for that suggestion, and we will make sure and also cite the legislation that the regulation that the chair just cited. We will also cite that with Gorman and make sure that the staff on site has training as you suggested and recommended.
We will also make sure that staff has contact information for Mr. Duke so they can follow up with him once Dr. Gorman is back in the office.
My last question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dukes, do y'all have any activities planned?
We can't even get around to scheduling activities because the community room is basically locked, and it's been locked like that for a year unless other events are planning, like the shots. We just started having a movie night. Other than that, that's shut down.
Reason I ask that,
Yes, our commodities or something like that.
the reason why I ask that,
Yeah.
if you all have plans for activities, HUD provides you money to cover some of those activities. It's called a tenant participation fund, okay?
Okay.
So, if you have any activities there, in addition, you need to keep records of what is spent, what has been requested, based upon the CFR I just gave you.
Yes.
Any more questions?
No more questions.
No more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Dukes.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate you,
Dukes.
sir.
Thank you.
Here's my card. Pass that down.
I want to thank the board for giving me the time and for listening to me, but the need is urgent. And you know
Understood.
what, I'm gonna have to tell you several times, when you come, don't come and visit me unless we're gonna move forward, because I'm gonna take it as an insult if I'm not reached out and, hey, you home? I tried to reach you and I couldn't. That's an insult to me and it belittles my character.
Yes, sir.
If we gonna do something, let's do it.
We're
Yes,
gonna
sir.
do it.
We're gonna
Thank you,
do
sir.
it.
Thank you, sir.
Understood.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
Appreciate it, Mr. Dukes.
Deputy Director Hampton,
Is
it's
there-
on you.
Is there another one?
No, I haven't.
Just
He's
one?
referring to the same one.
Thank you so much, and let me say hello again, commissioners, and to all of our staff and guests who may be in the audience and residents. My name is Cheryl Hampton, and I'm serving as the Deputy Director, and Dr. Jarman, again, I wanted to bring her regrets for not being here, as she notified all of you. She had some business out of town, but she will be returning on tomorrow. So, Mr. Chair, at your direction, you all have the reports in your board packets that you received. I also know that you have several guests and several other presentations on the agenda. So we would ask if you would allow We will not report out what you already have in the packet. There are no additional updates since we forwarded those reports to you, but we will stand ready, the team and I, to answer any questions you may have. So if there are any questions at this time on any of the reports from any of the commissioners, Mr. Chair, the team and I will be happy to answer those, but we won't be redundant in going over anything that we set in the packet in the essence of trying to ensure that all of your guests have the full time that you would like to grant them to make their presentation. So if there are any
Don't everybody
questions-
jump at once.
There
Commissioner Anthony.
was, maybe I missed it in my packet, but it wasn't a finance report in the packet.
Right.
I thought there was, but Andy, if you just wanted to give some highlights from your report, that would certainly be fine. It was, I think his was HCV was the first report,
Right.
and then finance was, a one or two page report after that, on page 17 of the packet.
Okay, I guess I was looking for
The breakdown.
a breakdown, more of a breakdown than what we have here. This capitalizes on just bringing us, some numbers, but I guess I was looking for a breakdown of our financial status.
Yes, we're gonna go back to that. Andy came in, as you know, he recently started. We're trying to complete the audit, and everything. So for your financial reports, we will hopefully start back, in April, but I will let, Andy, if you just wanna give any highlights that you feel is important, and when do you feel, we would be able to provide the full financial reports in the board packet. Mr. Andy Delaney.
Yeah, you come right up here. Right there.
So the financial reports will be back in there on March. I was actually reviewing, the process. And there's a couple things that I didn't understand the way they were done in the past. So I wanted to make sure, I was giving you guys the correct numbers before I give any numbers. So that's why the financials are not in there for for February, but they will be back in there for March.
Mr. Delaney, one of the issues that we're going to be looking at today is balances in our cap funds. Those figures those numbers that are obligated, those that are not obligated, and how we move forward on not only the RED projects, but a project that we want to discuss today. So that was one of the things that we were concerned about, is a true balance in the cap funds and what is truly obligated and what is not. It looks like also we may have some technical problems, Elena, and our partners may not be on here, so this might be a situation, Mr. Chairman, that we need to defer and give Mr. Delaney some time, but we do have an issue before us today that we do want to look at that deals with cap funds.
Okay, yeah.
But let me ask you a question. Do you have any documentation that obligates us for a target funding for these projects? I know we can make promises and all that, but was there any hard numbers in any documentation that outlined our obligation?
Actually, I've been looking into that, and as of right now, I haven't found anything, to be perfectly honest with you. I got the reports from HUD, and they just give me the budget, what was dispersed, and any balance, and it's not even broken down by project. So those are some things I'm looking into, I'm trying to get answers to those. So.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
We did receive, you requested, and we received the financials for the deals, and we'll send that to you, to the full board on tomorrow or no later than Monday. You requested to get what the financials were for each project, and so there are commitments that this board has entered into with these proposed conversions, and so we'll send that to you and the board.
Okay, based on what you have, do we have a balance in cap funds? Based on what you know that we're obligated to, do we have a clear balance of what's in cap funds?
I have not worked with Andy on what the balances are and what our share is, and that's why he did that for, some time in order to make sure that all of the numbers align and are correct.
Okay.
So I don't wanna speak, out of turn, Commissioner Anthony, and not give a number that is not correct for each of that. So I wanna confer with the Director of Finance, and we have something for the board, at the March meeting.
Okay, now, let me just say one thing for a second. Now, I know, that, like I say, the budget and the disbursements, the balance in total for cap funds was $5,523,000. Now, what I don't know, I know we have a pledge I got from one of my team members, estimated 4.5 million. I don't know what that actual.
No, that's
pledge-
4.75, 4,750,000
And
that we on the hook for.
Okay.
And we don't know how that came about.
we don't know where that is.
Yeah, don't know where it is, because on each financial
Yeah.
report that we've gotten, that part of the finance report showed nothing as far as that amount being targeted for this project. All we've ever heard was that cap funds will be used for this project. We don't see any obligation about it, none of that.
We also, but we won't have that today, we want to know from our partners if those are true figures based on what will impact as far as tax credits is concerned. If there'll be any movement in those numbers once we look at tax credits. So, I guess again, Mr. Chairman, it looks like we need, until we
Well, I
get
agree.
some.
Let me ask a couple of
Postpay.
questions prior to
Brother Lindsay?
it. So, the 6,426,508 is budgeted. It's obligated to what?
It's it's actually just the number of, the amount of money that HUD has given you.
Given us. Of that, and those, in this, they expire at various times.
Correct.
Right.
Depending on the year.
You're right. And so it's important for us to obligate that money which is going to expire quickly, as, you know, okay. All right. The 903 dispersed, is that actually spent or is that actual obligations?
It's actually spent.
That's actually spent, that's gone, all right. Okay. All right, now this is, I wanna go back to, the audits,
Okay.
all right. And 19, have you talked to them?
Yes.
Okay, do we have any idea, a solid date about when that 19 is gonna be completed?
Yep, I'm working, actually with the auditors, I'm actually in the process of completing the last program, uploading an FDS, I already got the corrective action plans.
Okay.
So my goal is to have that report to you guys by the next board meeting.
Okay. You've seen the correction active plan, I mean,
Yes.
you've worked it?
Yeah, I've actually got the findings and the corrective action plans from the team members, so I'm formulating that now.
Oh.
So I got
But
one program.
let me offer this, we're not trying to beat up on you, Mr.
Yeah,
President.
we just got,
We just want
We
factual
got-
information.
Thank you.
I don't feel like
So
you're
that,
beating up on
Okay,
me.
so
great.
we can make a rational decision about how we wanna go forward.
Yeah.
That's what the board should know, so
All
I
right.
agree with you. So,
And then, so once we get the 19, once we get to the next one.
yeah, I'm jumping right into
Okay.
the 20.
All right, well, I think it's important that, we really do get this 19 corrective action at least out for us to look at.
Okay.
And to sort of get a handle on that. In addition to this situation with the cap funds, I think those, we need to know something ASAP.
Yeah, I can actually get the corrective action plan. I'm gonna run it by Deputy Director and Dr. Jarman first, and then once they approve, I'll get that to you probably early next week. I'll get that to you guys early next week. Or I'll let her get it to you early next week.
Okay, thank you.
We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Delaney. Are there any other questions, Mr. Chair and commissioners, on any of the other reports?
Well, I got two, dealing with the voucher,
Yeah.
section. How many
Yes, sir.
ACC vouchers do we have in total?
Yes, just Ms. Johnson?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, are you asking me what our baseline is, or how many,
How many
our
total
utilization rate?
vouchers? How many total vouchers do we have? Is it 2,000, 3,000? How many do we have totally?
I guess I gotta get a better understanding. When you say
What,
how
well, see,
many,
that's just like mainstream. We know how many we got.
What was awarded to us by HUD County? What was awarded? What was our total
What's our total
allocation?
number?
I'm sorry, I needed to get a better understanding. I think the allocation here was 3,900, a little more than 3,900 vouchers.
And our utilization, Connie, we have issued, what, 2,600 and some odd, you said 92%?
Correct. And keep in mind, that's, just because we are allocated over 3,000 vouchers, we have to pay attention to the funding.
Right.
So we are trying to balance the two.
Second question, and that's all I have. There's a final rule, not a final rule, but a rule out for the new inspection standards that HUD is putting out. And usually those have a time-sensitive stamp on them. How has our inspectors gravitated to those new standards? Basically Inspire.
Right now, we only have one inspector. We're looking to increase that number. But we are utilizing all of the waivers that HUD allows us to utilize in order to move the inspections department forward. We do have a number of outstanding inspections that we do have to make up for, but HUD allows us to do video inspections, alternative inspections, and things of that nature. So I am working with my inspections department to try to see, what we're going to do to get our number down, our
Are
delinquency
they
number
familiar
down.
with Inspire?
I'm sorry,
Are they familiar with Inspire?
is who familiar? My
Your
inspector?
inspector,
My
right.
inspector? I'm not sure, so I can't speak right on that.
Because, usually after a rule comes out, the time period expressing the adoption is usually very quickly. And I don't want us to get caught short-sighted or short-handed. I don't want us to get caught when the new standards do come out, because they will come out. And I just wanted, if they were aware, the staff was aware of what all that is going to entail.
We are Commissioner Chair and Commission members, and I know Dr. Jarman and I really want to provide adequate training for our team as applicable. And so with any new standards coming out, we will work to ensure along with the team and have the inspectors go to the requisite training that HUD will provide, and that probably will be by webinar now, given COVID, but we'll make sure that they are familiar, and HUD will require that they attend any training for the new regs.
Yeah, because HQS is going away.
Director
So
Johnson.
we'll be looking at that, and Ms. Johnson has been working, as she said, to get the number of outstanding inspections reduced to bring us back to where we should be for our inspections.
Director Johnson, just one question. We had talked previously about opening up the wait list. Are you forecasting when that might happen?
I would say sometime in late April, if not early June. We do have, we did reach out to the supporting services that I mentioned before. And so we just have to make sure that we have, looked out for all of our constituents, making sure that those who don't have access to smartphones and things of that nature, or a computer, that we have a resource available to them as well. So that we're just trying to make sure that, we don't have any fair housing issues or any discrimination, whether it be elderly, disabled, or something like that. So in doing so, again, with COVID as it is, things takes just a little bit longer to get things together. But I would say later April, if not early May, we should be looking at opening up the waiting list.
Thank you.
Good.
So you have begun to cull that waiting list?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm reaching out to the social service agencies so that we could all meet, put a plan
That's
together. So it's not just our agency, but outside agencies, if people want to utilize, an outside agency closer to them than us, then that's an option.
That's what I was saying, thank you.
But one last question. I know you have a lot on your plate, Ms. Johnson, but how has the purging of the waiting list for Madison Heights been proceeded?
Right now, Commissioner, what I'm trying to do is make sense of the waiting list. We have a number of them.
Yeah.
I understand.
Before we add to or do anything, I want to make sure what we did do in the past was in compliance with our policies and procedures. So I'm just trying to make sense of it, making sure whatever we did, we were in compliance, and if not, what can we do to rectify the issue? So just,
Yeah.
yes, I am working on that.
What do
on
you
that
mean
now.
by a number of them?
We have different waiting
Waiting
lists
I
for
mean,
different
why-
projects.
Yeah,
Why
we
would
do.
you have
You got
different-
mainstream.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
thank
you got.
Well,
I
see,
got-
when we went to
I-
RAD,
yeah.
that created a waiting list for Paris.
I got you.
for
And that
Powell,
Powell, and all of those.
Cumberland.
Yes.
So, yeah, all right, thank you.
So that's what
That's
you're
what you
trying
meant,
to
yeah.
address,
Yes, sir.
right?
Is that all manually done, is it?
No.
I can tell you it's time
We hope not, we
consuming.
hope not.
I mean,
And, no, it's in the system.
Uh-huh.
We're just trying, again, I'm just trying to make sense of it, where the applications are, how did they apply, how
Are
did we
they
call them off of
duplicates?
the waiting list?
all of that.
Yeah,
All the
I'm just
above.
trying to
Okay,
make sense of all of it, yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Ms. Johnson. I know, like I said, I know your plate is full. And we thank you.
Any
Legal,
additional questions, Commissioners, Chairman, and Commissioners?
well, legal, we got a very short synopsis, but we know that there's more out there than what was presented.
We received that, and I was thinking that the board was privy to the case before. And so all we received was a notice saying that the hearing for that case was postponed until June 7th. So that's why we shared that postponement. That was the update. We can also check with the attorney for handling the case for the agency and see if there is any update that he or she could possibly bring in April. And I will work with Dr. Jarman to make that possible, or have the attorney, either if they cannot come, provide a written update to you. And as such, legal would be taken into account in executive session at the April board meeting, or whatever the attorney advises. So I'll take that back to Dr. Jarman, but we just wanted to provide the notice.
So for clarity, we're talking federal court here, not state? Just for clarity.
I don't have the notice before me, but that case number seems to be a state, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna look back. I don't know if it's district court, and I want to look back at that. So don't let me answer that, but it may be district court, and I'll check that. And I'll provide that information by way of an email to all of the commissioners.
There are a couple of procurement questions, Ms. Hamilton. We
Yeah.
know that we're held up with a lot of our procurement activities because of evaluations of some of our accounts. But I know that in the last meeting, it was requested for all open contracts, a list of open contracts. So we're not continuing to miss that 90-day window of evaluation, that we need to have a point where we move forward with those 90-day evaluations. We know that there's a catch-up piece, but how do we move forward in the future so we still don't have that violation? So, again, the chairman asked in the last meeting that we get a list of those contracts that were going to be open, so we don't miss the 90-day evaluation period.
I think in the report before this one, we listed what was coming up, and we update that to you, so you will get an additional update. We updated it in February. We will update it again in April to you. But it was in the report, and we provided a table in that last report for you that showed what those were that were coming up. that were open and that was coming up, and then we'll provide an additional update for any new ones, starting with April for that quarter.
Well, I guess I'm asking for the implementation of the evaluation tool. We
Yeah,
got,
we provided,
we
I'm
got
sorry.
copies of it. So Mr. Chairman, we'll follow the direction of the implementation of the tool so that we can move some of this stuff forward.
Well, I'd like to piggyback off what you said, Commissioner Anthony, but add in addition to that, I don't know whether it should be monthly or quarterly, that we have a report on those evaluations that have been done.
Right. Because there has to be a pickup at some point, because it has not existed in the past. And we're just trying to clear up a violation before we actually get hit with it. Yeah, well, as far as the evaluation is being done. So,
I understand, I
so,
understand.
so, we do have a copy of the tool.
Let me ask for clarity. Attorney Evans, do we need a motion for that?
Well, now, I was looking at this case that you all were asking her about, to see where it was residing.
A motion to have a report on the analysis done. Do we need a motion on that? Or can it be done by unanimous consent without any objection?
Just to be on the safe side, I'd go ahead and call for a motion on that.
I can't make it.
Okay, state the motion and then I'll make. Because, I flipped the script here.
It was that we receive monthly reports upon the evaluations that are done upon the contract.
Motion to, that the Board of Commissioners receive a monthly, as part of the procurement report, report on those contracts that have been evaluated or may be in that 90-day window.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that the board receives a monthly report on the evaluation analysis of contracts that are about to be.
In the 90-day window. 90-day window.
In the 90-day window. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, none. So motion passes.
The tool.
Thank you, we'll bring that to you.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question concerning the tool.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that we have approved already?
We have
We haven't
not.
approved
We
it.
have.
Not.
We've seen it, and that's what they're
I've seen it.
using.
I've seen
It was sent to us, and we do need to look at any modifications
Okay.
that we want to recommend, and then we need to approve the tool.
Mr. Chair, if I
Yes.
may add.
Yes,
one
ma'am.
thing for the edification of the full board, is that tool is used in conjunction, or we overlay what the evaluation criteria from the RFP.
Right.
So that's what we fit in that tool as it relates to each contract. We have to use the criteria that we've placed within the RFP, and we will place those questions within the tool as applicable for each contract, and I understand within that 90-day window, and you would like that report brought to you monthly.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other further questions?
Okay, what's next?
Everybody get no further questions?
No.
Board committee reports.
I'm going to defer to Ms. Hampton. There were two positions that were still open that we are just needing an update. First being the IT position and where we are on the management of procurement. Those were the two outstanding pieces of staff positions that were still open. And the
Okay.
most pressing being the IT person.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Anthony. We, the team and I have reviewed, and when I say the team, Dr. Jarman appointed, of course, herself, she's included on that, Mr. Delaney as the new Director of Finance, and myself as the Deputy Director. We looked at the resumes that came in, and we have scheduled an interview for Friday, this coming Friday, tomorrow, with the, one of the respondents. I do not have a report on procurement at this time, and I believe Dr. Jarman can speak to that, so we will update you. I will share that and then let her share with the entire board where she is in that process. But we do have an interview scheduled for tomorrow.
Well, I'd like to follow up with that. Why is this individual being interviewed again?
I don't understand what individual you're talking about.
Well,
but-
even if they were all three, let me give you a little history, okay? Gans and Gans vetted them. Dr. Jarman vetted them. And this is the third round of vetting. That's why I said question.
Well, I would say, Chair, one thing is Dr. Jarman reserved the right because she has new team members. And when we look at our current systems, plus what you all voted to put in like additions, like the new vote with the telephone system, with the kiosks, there were probably there are additional questions that we would like to ask to ensure. And as we're looking to make sure that that everyone has, the selected applicant has the capability and has a better understanding of how PHAs, how housing authorities work, what the need is with the system, and so forth. So I believe that's why Dr. Jarman reserved the right, as most any ED would, in the hiring of the staff member for the team that she would head. So I would say that is why.
Well, one point I'm not gonna make, but I will say this. That's one of the reasons why we lose a lot of good applicants, okay? As well as a lot of good vendors because of our delay and not theirs. And that is a concern that this board has had for quite some time.
I understand, and I will share that with Dr. Jarman. And I can assure you that the team working with Dr. Jarman will move post-haste because we know a number of things are on hold, particularly as it relates to our IT capabilities and the items that you all have approved. And so I know she will work to expedite and bring that to a conclusion very soon.
Somebody trying to speak?
Say again?
Somebody trying to speak?
Is there, I guess we're getting, Elena, we're
Or
getting
is that
some
Brandon trying
feedback
to
up
speak?
here, or someone is speaking and we don't know.
Ms. Peterson, are you on the line? We can't,
We can't hear you. Oh,
That's right.
We can't hear you.
No.
Can you turn your volume up a little?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Okay, sorry. My question was, is this a final interview for this individual? Or are there other people that are being interviewed in this process as well?
I think that this is a final interview for this individual. I believe Dr. Jarman has had conversations with one other individual, but I will let her, in the follow-up that I asked that I will relay, she will provide that to the board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is that Commissioner?
Yeah, that's all we have. Again, Ms. Hamilton, you're absolutely right. We are looking at some time frames that holds up until we get the IT person in place. Even as we live stream today, that individual is needed to be on payroll so that they can be trained, so that we're not holding up the vendor that is in place today.
Yes, ma'am.
All done?
That's it.
Okay. Well, as far as the technology report is concerned, I really wanted to have somebody on board to address some of the issues that we may face as far as technology going forward. as well as whether or not the equipment is fault tolerant. And what that means is the operating temperatures that these machines can operate on. Some can operate very, very cold, some can operate it very, very hot. But that person, that IT person, should know what our fault tolerance is on those machines, what the temperature may be outside, and whether or not they will be allowed. And that recommendation should come from that IT person. I do have a problem, but I'll reserve the right to talk it over with Dr. Jarman about the modification of the Ring Central contract, as well as the modification to our backbone coming into the building. I have some concerns about that. Because I'm going to say we, the board, we were under the impression that this was it.
As of
This
April,
was a be-all, cure-all, okay?
as of April of last year.
Right, as of last year. So, have some serious questions about that. But that's all I have to bring forward. But let me make a note of congratulations that we worked hard, very hard, on getting these meetings telecast. And my appreciation goes out to the design group, Dr. Jarman, and finally putting this out there on the web so people can see. And our transparency is apparent of how we conduct business here. So that's all I have.
Mr. Jackson?
Brother Jackson?
Okay. Resident committee report, at the moment, enlightened by Mr. Dukes' complaints and questions, I will take personal work with you and we will get to the bottom of this. Like Chairman said, you don't have to have permission to start a meeting. We had our meeting yesterday. And what I've been doing is like, since not being able to meet with the residents all together, then all of your officers. That's what I've been doing. I've been having meetings with the officers. And we've been discussing to the point that we be able to have meetings with the residents. So the concerns and questions that you have, I will get with you and we will work together personally on this. Because I think I ran into the same problems that you ran into with our manager and staff.
My plane is about to go out. Hey, I need some inspiring.
Let me interject, Brother Jackson. I just saw where Nauro is opening up their summer meeting. And my thought and idea would be that those resident officers or members use some of that tenant participation fund to come to a Nauro convention.
Okay.
I mean, that's what it's there for.
Okay.
And they can actually see, get the information they need, all there at Nauro.
Exactly, and that's another thing I was gonna bring out too. Our staff has already went through training with Ms. Neal, and I'm gonna try to get to the point that all of you do that. My understanding, I thought y'all went through it, but apparently you didn't. So, that being said, do y'all have a calendar? A monthly calendar?
Was just issued to us,
3 days ago?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we received the same one.
I have yet to review it, and there's some interesting things that are labeled on there. But I've yet to review it because the meeting was coming up. I talked to Stacy, and we had to put our heads together and verify what exactly we're gonna do. I talked to Mr. Osaro, the same day the calendar went out, so. I like for you to know, that's our resident coordinator, and I rely greatly on him. He's an up okay guy. And without the thing that, the chairman told me, I wouldn't have been aware because he has been pulling Powers, Cumberland, and Parish Tower.
Yeah. Okay, well, I will get with you, and I think I just text you my correct number. Did you say you called me and you can reach me? So I text you my correct number to see, make sure you have it. Other than that, we have just finished a second round of COVID shots. that went smoothly Tuesday, in our towers. Today, they're supposed to be, handing out commodities today. I'm not for sure, probably the next day or tomorrow that you'll do it, at your next towers.
Yeah.
Other than that, we've been pretty much just, like I said, we had our meeting yesterday
Okay.
with the council, and I try to make sure that goes without fail, because as long as I keep my officers informed, then we can be better able to help the residents. And some of them, as well as I do, receive complaints, questions as well, so they bring them all to the board. That's one of the reasons.
Let me follow up, and I hate that it's so late. Mr. Dukes,
Yes,
you said Ms. Stacy's at Sunset.
yes.
A lot of that depends upon the financing, and the financing is not in place. So thereby, the residents need to know that that's the ticking time bomb that actually puts everything in motion.
Yeah.
To get all the financing complete, which is not complete at this moment.
One thing, Commissioner, what failure is this a failure to communicate
Bottom line,
knowledge to her.
bottom line.
And we talk greatly. But sometimes when people don't receive any kind of knowledge, they think they're being kicked to the curb.
No, they're
I
not.
mean, and with
But
that,
see, this board has made that mandatory. Tell the people
yes,
that this is a stipulation that if the financing in place,
yes,
we can't tell you when
right.
it's gonna happen.
Well, once I tell about the live Zoom feed and all, it's gonna greatly appreciate her and those people that are interested, they'll be well informed too. And I assume that everybody can get on this?
If you got
Everybody can
internet,
get on it?
if you got the internet, you can get on.
I'll be getting on it to save me a ride and stroll down here.
And it's just only gonna get better.
Yes.
Well, to piggyback on that, I have contacted and talked to Ms. Brown and explained to her the same situation, which we just got through doing. And sometimes, people want to hear it, and sometimes it's not what they want to hear.
We gonna
I like to just say
we
this
gonna
is
tell
one
them the
thing.
truth.
It's been a long, hard year, and it's
It
still
has.
not over with yet.
Nope.
Yeah.
People are frustrated, people are
Yeah.
still passing away, and, hey, like I said, it takes a lot to diminish my little stature, but I had thought about throwing up my hands and say, hey, that's it, but I'm not that type
Don't
of
do
guy.
that. Don't do that. I'm gonna tell you like they told me, don't do that. They need you. So that's basically our report.
Okay.
All right?
Brother Lindsay?
Okay, I don't have anything, but Deputy Director, I would like for you to put me on schedule with Mr. Delaney and the Executive Director, to talk some more in depth about our financial situation when she get back.
Barely hear.
Mr. Delaney,
Nuh-uh, I can't barely hear her.
oh, Miss, CHAC, have you had a chance to look at their standing?
No, I have not.
Okay, all right. So when she gets back, would you, set something up?
Yes, sir, most
There we
definitely.
go.
All right. Other than that, that's all I have.
All right, is Gorman on the line?
I think we're having technical
Technical
difficulty. So, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we forego the Gorman and the iTech presentation and move to Design Group.
Mr. Jackson?
Good afternoon. My brother from another mother.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Chairman. Good to see you, brother. All is well, everyone. Well, I like to say that this should be a good presentation for me since the chairman has already acknowledged our hard work, so thank you indeed. But in terms of updates, we are obviously moving right along in terms of the live streaming of our board meetings. My partner Nate back there is working to make all the magic happen, and he's doing an excellent job to ensure that I didn't lie.
No, you
We're
didn't.
up and going as it should, so thank him tremendously in that regard. But we're moving forward and in doing that, and we'll be beta testing the system for next couple of days and then subsequent months to make sure that it's running properly. We will then, Chairman and Commissioners, be working with Dr. Jarman and identifying which staff person or persons that we will be training to pass on that responsibility. And of course, we will always be there to support in the event that there's a mishap, but we do intend, hopefully, within the next month to have someone trained and up and going, and then we might stand alongside he or she for the next month or two to make sure that everything operates properly. We do recognize that there may be more than one person on staff that will have that responsibility, and we're comfortable with training whomever. We've already distributed an instruction manual that speaks directly to the hardware, software, and how to operate the setup, but we do know many folks might be like me on Christmas morning. I don't care how many pictures that are there. Someone still has to instruct me. Normally it's my wife on how to put it together. So we'll serve in that capacity. Secondly, we will be working, I believe, if the board is amenable to that, working today to have some discussion around some of our marketing proposals around the rebranding of MHA, in particular advertising campaigns and retooling based on the new direction that we're headed under Dr. Jarman. And then also working closely with this board to talk about the branding and launch of CAAC. So those are our priorities in terms of marketing and communications. And then, of course, we will follow any direction that you might add in terms of any deliverables that become available in between that time. Are there any questions that you might have for me?
Well, basically, I have basically a couple. For the listening audience, all these meetings will be archived, correct?
Absolutely, sir. Including this one will be automatically archived at the end of the transmission.
So if anybody wants to go back and remind themselves of what has been done and what has been said, they have the capability to do so.
Absolutely, and I imagine Mr. Dukes is going to do that today.
Secondly, is there I guess it wouldn't be a time frame, but I saw where the link was on the homepage.
Yes, sir.
As part of the marketing, will that narrative be included when you start redesigning?
About the live streaming of the board meeting?
Right.
Oh, absolutely. What we've done to this point is we've already integrated some artwork into the upper third slider of the existing website. We've also developed email headers that were pushed out to all of our vendor partners. We will also be pushing that out in cooperation with Elena to all of our residents. So Mr. Dukes, you will be receiving, if you are in our database email, information about how to access the live stream on the web. And it's extremely simple. If you have access to internet, and you can go to mhaph.org, whether it's on a desktop or even on your phone. We've got it in a very conspicuous location where all you have to do is click. One click and you have access. We've made it extremely easy, but you will get an email notice from this office each month when we alert everyone of the board meeting. We will also alert you of the ease of viewing that from your home or wherever you might access the internet. And then part of our overall marketing and communications, Chairman, it will be included in our rebranded collateral material that we're proposing. It also will be included in any of our PR activity to continue to try to educate our various stakeholders to your point of our transparency and how they might want to participate in our board meetings.
The third question, the last one. I want to just ask. CAC can also be a part of this collaboration with being on the internet, if they choose to do so.
If we choose to.
That's why I had to put the caveat in there. Okay.
You put
Put the caveat in there.
Well, Chairman, I always operate on the premise that we're going to follow the direction of our client. And we know that there is a unique and dynamic overlap in terms of MHA and CAAC. So whatever communication needs that CAAC has, we will figure out a way to integrate that. But Right now, we've been in preliminary discussions, at least within our office, proposing launching of the brand in terms of identity, website, and other communications tools. And we can certainly integrate access to this live feed link within the CAAC website as well. So in theory, once it goes live, it can be pushed to multiple locations.
Sounds good.
Do we have, Brother Jack,
Yes, sir.
remote capability? I.e., when we go to Paris?
Well, it's a good question. When we were initially talking about the setup, we had proposed an option A and an option B. Option A was the direction that was chosen, and it's one where it's really more of a stationary setup. However, if you say that now we would like to explore option B, my team and I will figure out a way to meet that need. But the current setup as it is today is designed to be stationary and to serve this location. So if we want to go to mobile locations, we will have to buy some additional hardware.
Additional costs?
Yes, sir. That might be a slight additional cost. Yes, sir.
Something
Keep
we
on
need-
your calendar
we need to
that-
talk about.
yeah, we need to talk
We need
about
to talk about it.
Keep on your calendar, May is the annual meeting for CAHC, and we might want to make that launch in conjunction with the annual,
Yes, ma'am.
the website and all those components in conjunction with our May annual meeting.
Okay. Okay, well then, certainly I want to not only meet your expectations, but exceed them. So if we, in fact, are gonna keep a hard deadline like that, then we probably need to get started as soon as possible in terms of those deliverables, so my team can.
We
keep
will
going.
provide a meeting date for CAHC's board to you by the end of the day.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Are there any additional comments, questions, or concerns?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Well,
We appreciate
thank
you.
much. Thank you.
All
Appreciate you.
you've done, we appreciate it.
All right.
New business.
Mr. Woods in the room.
Mr. Woods. Wow. MLK.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. Everybody's looking like they're whales. Yeah, so we've designed, if you were, a quadplex.
Where is
Four
that
units.
design? Do we have it?
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's in the,
Yeah.
No, the fools, you had a colored,
Right.
where
you have the presentation?
Oh, no, I did not bring
Bring
it.
it.
But, you'll have,
Yeah, we have the
I
presentation.
sent it so that we can put it up.
Dr. German has it.
No, we all have it. I mean,
Oh, you sent it for today?
No, I did not.
Prior.
For the last.
Okay.
Meeting before last.
Okay.
And
All right, back
I
up.
wish I had known.
I know.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So,
I wouldn't have brought it.
where is it? You have it. Okay,
And
we don't
have-
have it.
We have,
We have it.
yeah, we have it in-house.
We got it in-house.
Have you not seen it?
Yes, but I hadn't
Okay.
seen it since you shown it.
Okay.
And I think
Okay.
that that's something that needs to be,
Refresh,
over there, where
it needs to be, yeah, it needs to be,
refresh tool.
yeah, refreshed and shown. Okay.
So I guess Jacob's not here today?
No.
But our design, we'll get it. Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I will bring it next.
Okay,
time.
thank you.
I'll bring a flash drive with it on it.
All right.
Show it in the meeting. Okay, so what we designed is a prototype quadplex unit, based, with, there being 2-bedroom units, open kitchen dining, arrangement, and roughly about each unit is about a little over 1,000 square feet each. It's a 2-story, this is on 1218 Martin Luther King. It's a 2-story building, a contemporary design. The idea was to let it be known to the community that this was new and the
Yes.
neighborhood is coming up.
Yes. That's what-
And so at the phase that we're in the schematic design, and that's what we did. The renderings for the exterior and the interior. Like I said, I'll provide that next time. We are, at that point, we also provided a cost estimate. I think with around $770,000. However,
Yeah.
because of the pandemic and
Oh.
challenges that we've had weather-wise this past year, the wood prices have kind of skyrocketed. So that cost estimate is going to be low now at this point. So we'll need to revise that and see if we can get a handle on what the
Total cost.
present wood costs are. That I imagine it's going to increase the project cost at least about 20%.
Let me ask you, wood versus steel, which is more economical?
Well,
A steel frame house versus
normally
a wood
wood,
frame.
normally wood.
But there is.
But right now, it may be steel.
And Mr. Woods, this, for the purpose of all of us, this is a replacement of an NSP2 property.
Yeah.
It is something we've had on our table for more than 2 years. And what the board had anticipated today was a discussion how we move it from just being on our plate to something that we would get to and be able to put dates to.
Okay.
Kind of handicapped today because of our needing to get a clear vision of what our finances are
Yeah.
moving forward. But there is some things that we do need from you in order to move this process forward.
Okay.
Because we would like to see, in discussion with the board, we would like to see this done within the second quarter of this year, at least begin. So the issues that we have is normally what kind of construction time frame are we looking at from start to finish?
Well, okay, when can you get us those new figures? Can you give us that's
Yeah,
the first
that's what
thing that I think that we need.
Is the
When can you get that to us?
increase in
That is,
cost?
that's right.
Increase in cost.
I'll be able to get that to you next week. I can get that to
You
you.
provide it to, Dr. Jarman,
And design
and
to the
she can get it
board.
to us.
Mhm.
Okay, all right,
And
now,
the completion estimate?
and
Yeah,
then.
then the completion
then the
estimate.
Yeah,
Yeah, construction-wise, I would estimate about 6 months.
okay. And cost-wise, you say about
And then-
20%.
And but then, that's not including our time to finish the drawings up. It'll take probably another month and a half.
Okay, so
It's about 6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months. So it would be something that would, if we got it off the ground in June, we would be looking at something the first quarter of next year being completed.
Yeah, because, spring being the wettest part of the year tends to hamper construction.
Yeah. Those are the kinds of things that we were looking for today, but again, we're kind of handicapped because of not having true handle on expense, but we also do need to increase this. So how do we move forward?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'm kind of baffled because, again, we're handicapped in really addressing some of the concerns that the board had talked about as far as this project is concerned, until we get back with Mr. Woods.
Yeah.
Let me put this on the table. With costs going up,
Yes, sir.
and as a conservative, that's when I would probably say about 10%.
Well, he said 20.
Okay, 20%, that'd be about another 100,
Yes.
maybe 140,000.
That's right. You can get $1 million.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you. Just allocate $1 million, that should cover any overruns that may come about.
Yeah. Well-
And on the conservative end, you would probably have 10% for reserve.
Yeah.
So, about $1 million.
Yeah.
Well, we had estimated right at $1 million
Yeah,
at this
we had
project
said
with all the other costs involved in it. But at this point, like I said, even with our estimation of $1 million, we still need to allow
facts are
the staff to put that financial piece together
Yes.
on our behalf,
Right.
once we have your numbers.
Okay.
So, I guess the follow-up to that would be that we get our numbers from Mr. Woods by next week,
Yeah.
and that,
Let's say, I wanted to follow up, does your 49 price tag still
That's easy.
remain? Does it still remain?
Yeah.
Well,
That's why
total
I'm glad
package.
to answer.
Yeah,
okay?
total, we need total numbers, we
Yeah,
need total numbers.
yeah, that's why
Yeah.
I'm asking.
Come on.
Yeah, let me go back.
Yeah, okay.
To see what the pandemic did.
Man, I ain't got-
Yeah.
But we're asking for total numbers for this
Yeah.
project,
Yeah.
so we'll know how to,
Proceed.
get our staff to put our finance package together so that we move forward. It is the desire of this board that this project be finished, or started
Yeah.
in the second quarter, as we've discussed. That's April, May, June,
Okay.
the second quarter.
Second quarter of this year.
This year, is that's our desire. Yeah, Lloyd's saying the same. We will make every effort, we'll make every effort to see that happen. We haven't had a new
Yeah.
construction in a
We
while,
gonna get there.
and this is a replacement. Cap funds are certainly, in line to be used for such a
Yeah.
project. We just need to know what that
How much we
balance look
got?
like.
Yeah, we need to know where we at,
Okay.
you know.
I can do that.
Now, we have some concerns concerning parking or something? Was that an issue?
No,
It
no,
wasn't,
so
okay.
he said that we had plenty of space on the back there for parking.
Yeah, I think we may have been short, but the, when I was talking to the city, there was already some kind of arrangement that was gonna be fine. What
Okay.
we submitted was gonna be fine.
Okay, that's what we need
I don't
from you.
have anything else.
I don't have anything else, but if we could get that from you next week, and Mr. Chairman, I know you'll be happy to follow up on behalf of.
Yeah, I'm excited about this project.
Yeah, and we really do need to get the word out.
Other
ASAP,
drawings.
so.
I'm excited about this project. And to do many more like it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, I am too, and we're ready to
Move on.
get a move on, yeah, and
Yes, sir.
finish it up.
All right, we appreciate you, Mr. Woods.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
What's
you all.
is that address to that location?
1218 Martin Luther King Drive.
1218?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I believe that Brian, Swanton is on the phone, and Brian, forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but I wanted to alert the chair that I think you're there and you're with Gorman. Am I correct, Brian, or do I have the wrong person?
No, that's correct. Can you hear me okay?
We got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, but I didn't know where the chair would, I just wanted to alert Chair Lowe to the fact that you were now on, and I didn't know how he wanted to proceed, but I'd let him tell us how he wants to do. We went on to new business, and they had some presentations already lined up. So I just wanted to alert the chair that you were now on, Foreman was now on the call. So, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it over to you to handle in your way.
Let me poll, is everybody who's on the list, are you good?
As far as time.
Yeah, for a time.
I really think we probably need to hear from Metro Plan. We
And
don't
that's
want to
what
tie
I'm
them
heading
up
toward.
so, Mr. Swint, if you just give us, the ability to hear from Metro Plan, which is one of our guests, then we can move forward. Metro Plan?
Okay. Yeah, no problem. And if you need me to join back on, if someone just text my cell, I'm happy to jump back on.
Ms. Hamilton, would you handle that for us, please?
Yes, I'm gonna have to ask for some assistance from our, media folk or from Elena to get Mr. Smitten back on when, call for him. And so am I to understand, Mr. Chair, you will hear from Metro Plan and the presentations on Hyde Park, and then we come back to, Gorman?
What
Yes.
about Centennial?
I don't think, is Centennial in there?
Centennial?
Here, we did not have a
Okay.
response, Mr. Chair, for a particular speaker.
Yeah.
I believe you were notify us.
Yep.
And so I don't know if the representative showed up
Okay.
or not and is in the room there with you.
No. No,
We'll move forward.
we'll move forward.
So Brian, I think it is two folk that are ahead of you, if I am looking at that correctly, Mr. Chair.
You are? You are.
And so two folks ahead of you, so it may be, 20 or 30 minutes, and someone will notify you, or you can just come back on in 20 minutes. Would that be good,
That sounds
Commissioner?
about, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, that sounds about right, about 20 minutes.
Okay, no, that sounds great. I'm in an all-day meeting, but I can jump out at any point, so I'll just log back in about 20 minutes or so.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
thank you all. Yep, bye.
Well, welcome, Mr. Plan.
Hi.
She's no stranger.
I recognize. Well, first of all, thank you for having us here. I'm going to speak through my mask. If that's a problem, let me know, and I'm happy to take it off and speak, but I'll try to speak loud enough. And I'm Casey Covington. I'm the Deputy Director at MetroPlan. This is Susan Markman. You've recognized her before. She's at MetroPlan. She tried to retire, but we haven't let her fully retire, so we're glad that she's still here and has a connection already with this agency. And then we have Lakeisha Stewart, who is one of our newer planners, although she's not super new to MetroPlan. She's been with us for 3 years, I believe. And she is going to talk a little bit at the end about public engagement, and I think it's an opportunity to work with this agency. To talk briefly about what MetroPlan is, I'm going to talk about that, and then I'm going to talk about opportunities for collaboration, and y'all jump in here as soon as you want to. MetroPlan is an agency. We've been in the Central Arkansas area since 1955. We're just a block over that way. And we have a very specific responsibility. I like to lay it out this way. We live in a very complex metropolitan region. If you think about it, there's 4 counties, there's something like 20 cities, there's the Department of Transportation, there's Rock Region Metro. And it's our job to ensure that we have a seamless transportation system that works for the metropolitan area. So that's our single responsibility, is to take a very complex transportation system for Central Arkansas and plan for that in an integrated way that works for all of our citizens. Then when I say our metropolitan area is Pulaski County and Saline County and Faulkner County and Lonoke County. This is not up on the slides, but I can send this out if you have information that you want to see. And we're here talking on behalf of MetroPlan. We are not MetroPlan. MetroPlan is the elected officials of Central Arkansas. So that's 4 county judges.
Head north on South Arch Street toward Arkansas River Trail West Mark.
About 20 mayors of different cities, including Little Rock, North Little Rock, Jacksonville, as well as the Department of Transportation. The Rock Region Metro has a member on our board, as well as the Little Rock Port and the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport. So that is who our board is. That is who MetroPlan are. We only serve them. What do we do? Oh, I thought we plan for the region and transportation. We have 2 primary documents. One is a document that is the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. That's a 20-year document that's looking out 20 years for the region. And it takes a while to get projects done. So that's why you have to look out for the region, and decisions that are made 20 years ago are affecting us today. And so that's why we looked at that time frame. We also have what is called a Transportation Improvement Program. That's a 4-year construction program. That's specifically projects that are going to go to construction in the next 4 years. So if federal funds are involved in it, it's got to be part of the Transportation Improvement Program, whether it's the state, whether it's Rock Region Metro, or whether it's about $15 million that MetroPlan actually allocates throughout the region. So each year, we allocate $15 million to different types of projects. A couple projects that you may have seen recently. There's a Levy project that we're working on that's intended to kind of revitalize the Levy area of North Little Rock. 12th Street in Little Rock is another project that is just getting started, that's looking at some sidewalks and some pedestrian improvements there. We do other roundabouts and different projects, but $15 million doesn't go as far as it did 20 years ago. So we have to be careful with what we have. Now, I love coming to a meeting and have somebody talk about CFR. That never happens. If you go to my computer, I have a bookmark CFR. I have a feeling that we're like the only 2 people in Central Arkansas that can do that. But that is what that's my life. And obligation, it's like, who else knows about obligation?
Right.
I have to worry about the CFR and I have to worry about obligation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of pretty similar to what you do. But if you look at that CFR, there's a couple words that I've written down that you're gonna appreciate because you hear them all the time too. When we plan, we have to plan for economic vitality. We have to plan for safety. We have to plan for security. We have to plan for accessibility and mobility, words you've probably heard. We have to also include state and local plan growth and economic development patterns. It's a lot of words, but we talk a lot about land use because there's a connection of land use and transportation. And then integration and connectivity. But an important word there too is mobility and non-motorized users. We're responsible not only for people that get in their cars and drive around, we have to include all modes of transportation. So we have an emphasis on transit, on pedestrian, bicycles, freight movement is a big consideration as well. Now, you can see this, you would see this great little drawing here saying transportation, land use, and how that's connected. You're probably, why is Casey here speaking to me? It's because land use and housing directly impacts transportation. It impacts how people travel, how people can travel. And to give you an example, if we build a new road, or if you have a new development for housing, you got to get people there, whether that's with roads, whether that's with transit, whether that's pedestrian, bicycle. And so that's a connection. And often what happens is we may build a road, and then the housing develops, and then you got to come back and redo the road, or vice versa. And so it is a very integrated circle that we look at, and that's why it's important that we have housing at the table for us from our planning. So what specific experience do we have in housing? In 2011, we got a Sustainable Communities grant through HUD. It was administered through HUD, but it also had DOT and EPA that was part of it. The design group that's here was a really important part of that consideration for us from public outreach and bringing that to the table. And so that's a recent experience that we had in terms of housing. Other than that, we don't have a specific responsibility of housing other than that connection of housing and transportation. So that's a really quick overview of Metro Plan, what we do. Susan, do you want to talk a little bit about how we've assisted authorities before? And then I want Lakeisha to talk very briefly about some upcoming outreach and opportunities to collaborate with the Metropolitan Housing Alliance.
I'll take 2 minutes. I'm so impressed you recognize me even with my mask on. Well, and as you know, MetroPlan and MHA have had kind of an ongoing reciprocal relationship for a number of years. MHA staff has represented you on at least 2 committees that I'm aware of, and of our MetroPlan committees. We were especially appreciative of the expertise that was provided for that Imagine Central Arkansas effort that Casey was just talking about. That was especially helpful. MetroPlan staff has sat in on some like brainstorming sessions for various grant initiatives. We've written letters of support in a more substantial way. We have and are able to support you by providing information and data. We're a good resource for that. Likewise, we can do some mapping too. I don't believe you've ever asked us to do mapping. Generally, you get that from other resources, but we do have that. We are also happy to help you push out any messages that you would like to go to the general public. We're a resource for that. We're happy to do that. Lakeisha is your go-to person for that information. And before I step on you anymore, what you're going to say, I'm just going to turn it over to you, to Lakeisha. And it's just nice seeing you all again, and call on us.
Yeah, if you need something, let us know. We're here. I do want to emphasize that technical resource, we have a boatload of data.
Oh, yeah.
And we like to use the data. We got 2 guys in the back, and that's what they like to do.
And in fact, we publish twice a year a Metro Trends magazine, once for demographics and once for economics. And if you're not, you should be on the mailing list for it. So we should have brought some.
We should have all
But you know what? We're across the parking lot, so we can fix that.
So Lakeisha?
Hi, so my name is Lakeisha Stewart, and like Casey and Susan mentioned, I am a planner, public outreach coordinator for Metro Plan. Now, as Casey mentioned, we have the MTP, which is the Metropolitan Transportation Plan update coming up. And previously, we often did a lot of in-person outreach, but of course, due to COVID, we can no longer do those things. It kind of changed us up a little bit. So the past few months, we've been working diligently with our regional advisory committees, and those committees are our Livable Communities Committee, our Economic Vitality Committee, and our Transportation Systems Committee. We've been working with them over the past few months as far as creating these themes and goals as to what we want the region to do and how we want the region to grow within the next 20 years. So as far as public outreach and how you all can get involved, with those themes and goals, we're going to be going live at the beginning of April, probably the second full week of April, as far as pushing out surveys, pushing out outreach efforts. We're also going to be sending out letters to our stakeholders. And I can say that the Metropolitan Housing Authority, they are on my list to send out. So within the next week or so, you will actually receive a letter from me as far as asking questions about, does our themes match your mission and goals and statements, how you can get involved, and how do you see us strategically implementing those themes that we have out in front of you all. After we're done doing that, we would probably wrap that up at about the end of May, I would like to say. Hopefully, we're going to wrap that up about the end of May. And we're going to go back to our regional advisory committee. We're going to get that public input, get our regional advisory committee together, bring everything together, see what was said and what should be done. And then we're going to go back out for public outreach again. And then after that, we're going to have a draft and public outreach again for people to be able to read that and making sure that it is what the public said that they wanted.
So thank you. If you have any questions.
Let me ask you, what is your fiscal year? Is it a calendar year or?
So this is great. So I asked like a perfect person that I feel like I'm right here. So my agency fiscal year is January 1st to December 31st. I also have what is called a Unified Warning Fork Program. So that's the work program. That money actually comes through the State Department of Transportation. So that is July 1st through June 30th. And I have to obligate funds because we talked about obligation earlier. And that follows a federal year. So now we're talking October 1st through September the 30th. So I technically have three fiscal years that
There's a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, you have a question?
No, sorry.
Okay, there's a couple of things. Thanks to Ms. Hampton, we have a new map that shows where all of our properties are that we will be looking to develop, whether it's NSP2 or if it's property that's coming under the new development entity of our CAHC. So we'd be happy to share that map with you of where MHA properties are and moving forward to build this relationship. Because we are beginning to start a new development piece, we certainly want to make sure that any opportunities that we have to work with you or receive monetary resources from you, that we are at the top of your priority list or at least on the list. So those are opportunities that we're trying to cultivate that I don't think we've done in the past.
Right.
I think we've shared information and been on groups, but I don't know if we've ever been a beneficiary of any of the funding from Metro Plan.
Yeah, it seems like you applied once, didn't you?
So there's several projects. The sidewalk project that was along Roosevelt was one that we funded recently, and several other projects that have kind of had a connection. Of that $15 million, I'm gonna make this really quick. That is an application process. Our board of directors applies, and so you need to go talk to, if you're in Little Rock, you need to go talk to Mayor Scott, and I can tell you that he is active and has pushed a lot of projects that are, I would say, community oriented to us, and so we're gonna see that. If you're in North Little Rock, you need to go talk to the North Little Rock mayor. If you're in Jacksonville, you go talk to the Jacksonville mayor, and so that's how you do that. Okay. But what really is helpful is when they apply, if you can be a partner and express the partnership that the Metro Housing Alliance is participating in that process, that helps the scoring criteria and ensures that you have a better chance of getting funded.
Yeah, because we have numerous projects that we like to fund, and we still have numerous projects on the table, such as our red conversion. And was wondering if it's not too late to apply for those type of funding.
Yeah, it's,
Where are we in that cycle?
so we'll have a call that's coming up in a few, actually probably in about a month or so.
Right.
So normally, if you're through the process or 50% of the way, if you can fund it without us, you're much better off, because if you get us involved, you've already added another year or 2 years to get that involved. But if you know something's coming down the pipe and you know you're going to be developing an area and it would benefit from sidewalks, that's when you need to go to the mayor and say, we've got a plan, we're ready to go. Can you make this application to Metro Plan? And that's where the funding is going to
That's the
come.
question. What two committees do we have a seat on?
There was one that was, now this is, I don't think you currently serve, but there was a Transportation Advisory Council, and then there was the Imagine Central Arkansas Council. And that document had, or has, a strong housing element to it.
Trying to see how we can get on that list to be notified.
And we will, when we get back, we can.
Yeah, we're gonna check that. I know that there's, I believe it's North Little Rock that's on. We have several housing positions that are on there, and I can't recall.
And since you're right across the parking lot, you know.
That's right.
And we take the hit, we have not been as proactive as we should have with Metro Plan. And of course, again, we're just trying to get better at what we do to move it forward. As part of our vision and strategic plan to reach out to resources that we know that is right here. We've had conversations with, but we've not yet used them. So, like I said, there's a lot on our plate as well.
I guess the last thing I'll say, and then make sure that we stay on time, is there is an emphasis our board has expressed, a particular emphasis in multimodal considerations, so trails, transit facilities, bicycle facilities, sidewalks. So I would encourage you, as you think about that, that's the emphasis that we've seen for our board. That's where our money is most effective. And if you talk to the mayors, I think that's where you're going to have your best luck.
So if we had a nature trail behind Park Coliseum, that would apply, because it's still one of our housing developments.
That's correct.
And the other thing I was going to add to that is that although Metro Plan staff can't actually write a grant application for you, however, we are available to review, or if you want to talk something over with us, you know, so we're a resource in that.
Now, one really quick thing, we don't do recreational trails. We do, they have to be transportation, but to your point, I'm sure you're probably familiar with the Southwest Trail that's supposed to connect Little Rock with Hot Springs from Little Rock National Park really to Central High, and that runs right behind Barton and is well under its way. So that's where it's that's where there's a lot there's a lot of stuff that's going on there already. But you're pushing the cities to ensure that they're applying for funding to build it is well within your right. So, and I would encourage you to do it.
Did I hear you say you did a 20-year plan?
We do it. Yeah, we have to do a 20-year. Long-term plan.
And where are you on that?
So we're, this is what so we have to, we actually do a 20-year plan every 5 years. So every 5 years we have to update that 20-year plan. And that 20-year plan really sets policies and strategies for that 20-year period. And that's where Lakeisha was bringing up, we've developed themes, and there's 5 themes that discuss different elements of transportation.
Okay, well, we can say you'll be hearing from us.
Yeah.
Well, great, and I'll tell you, it's awfully easy for us to walk over. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good to see y'all again.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Just wanted to let you know that Mr. Bobkin Simonanians has joined us from ITEX. And Bobkin, thank you. We have another presenter, and then Mr. Swanton from Gorman comes up, and then if the chair will probably entertain you after that. So I just wanted you to be aware, it'll probably be about 20 minutes.
Okay, okay. Well, we have Mr. Kevin Howard from the city of Little Rock.
Kevin. Oh, I didn't want to get the brand.
All right, good afternoon, everyone.
Good
I appreciate you all for letting us come over. Definitely, the information that was provided today, especially on 12/18 Martin Luther King, was really exciting to me because I was here when you all had the partnership with those projects, especially with MSP2. My name is Kevin Howard. I'm the housing director of the city of Little Rock. I do have with me Kendra Pruitt, and she's the senior advisor to the mayor. I will let her start out. I did provide a presentation. I want to put it up on the screen for you all. I don't know if there's some technical difficulties or not, but I had a thumb drive that we could provide. Can we do it on the screen or not? No, Kevin, we won't be able to do that technology. Ideally, what we're going to do based on the new setup is moving forward, folks will need to log into the Zoom and then present their screen from the Zoom.
That's fine.
Keep everything seamless. But you're an amazing presenter, and you got so I know it's going to be a heck of a show. We're all intrigued. All right. Well, I'm going to let Kendra start off with some talking points, and then I'll go into the presentation.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, thank you for having me here. As Kevin mentioned, my name is Kendra Pruitt. I have the pleasure and honor of serving as Mayor Scott's senior advisor and leading on all things policy. And one of our top priorities at the city under Mayor Scott's administration is affordable housing. And that's y'all's bread and butter, so I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to visit with you guys this afternoon. On behalf of the Mayor's Office and the Office of Executive Administration at the city, we want to let it be known that it's our intent to have a partnership with MHA. Okay. We want to work alongside of you guys because we know that what you do in Little Rock is critical to our city, not just for the folks that you serve, but for our entire city. For the economic development of our city, you have to thrive, and so we want to definitely partner together for the greater good of our city's residents. And we know that the work you do is critically important with the redevelopment in the Rock and all of those initiatives. We know that your projects are a shining star. And what you do make us look good, and so we definitely want to make it clear to all of you that we are here to serve you all. We want to partner when appropriate. So that's really the main message I want to share. We're just committed to rectifying any past wrongs and starting afresh, if you will. So speaking specifically about Hyde Park, Kevin is the expert on the details of the development, so I'll allow him to speak to that. But just a little historical context that I have is some years ago, the city and the MHA jointly purchased this property together. The city deeded that property to MHA for a grant opportunity, and MHA still holds that deed. We're committed to working with MHA to develop affordable housing at Hyde Park in this very important area of town, in this instance, the South End. So the city wants to, again, work together, and this is kind of the 4 points that I want to lay out on behalf of the city. We want to offer you guys, because you have skin in the game, we want to make you guys whole for the property, and so pending, obviously, approval from our city board, $50,000 for the property. To make you guys whole for the investment so we can move forward again together. Secondly, the city will develop single-family homes on these lots. Again, Kevin will go into detail about those, including the infrastructure valued at about $550,000 that the city will be able to contribute for the development of this property. Should there be any developer profits, but I think Kevin will talk a little bit about that. We're willing to split that 50-50 with MHA. And that's if there are to be any profits, and there's some concern there about federal funds being used and maybe there won't be any developer profits. But we want to also work with MHA to identify any of your clients, any of the folks that you serve that may be qualified for affordable housing and giving preferential treatment when allowable to those clients, to allow them to use the city's home buyer program, which is about a $20,000 subsidy, so they can move from the rental assisted living into these affordable homes. And lastly, again, with this being a partnership, any public communication, the groundbreaking, press releases, obviously it would represent the fact that it's a city and MHA partnership. So essentially, the city greatly looks forward to working with MHA on this project, as well as hopefully others in the future, to address the need for affordable housing in the city of Little Rock. We see this as reestablishing the relationship between the two entities for the betterment and greater good of our residents. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have about those kind of for the offer, if you will, but I'll pass it on to Kevin to go into detail about the development as you have it in front of you. Thank you.
I just got one correction. This is not the south end, this is the west end.
West end.
South end is south of Roosevelt from Park Coliseum to Interstate 30. This is the west end.
Thank you for that correction.
I'm a south end boy.
You're right.
Call it more Midtown West. But, yes, I just wanted to give a little brief history.
Kevin,
of course.
can I ask Kendra just one
Yes,
question?
yes, ma'am.
On the points of proposal that the city is providing, is there any documentation that we can review after this meeting? Because there were several points thrown out, but it's something that, you want to think it through. So if there's a document that we could have with those points on it, it would be appreciated.
Madam Commissioner, I can gladly pull that together, and I want to clarify if I didn't before, this is obviously pending approval from the board, but this is what the Office of Executive Administration has pulled together, and I'll get that to you guys.
Okay. So just going back on a little history, I know Kendra talked about a little bit. So back August of 2014, MHA had a resolution 6568 authorizing the executive director to purchase land in conjunction with Little Rock Choice Neighborhood Initiative. And that amount was $50,000, MHA to pay $25,000, and the city of Little Rock to pay $25,000 for the cost equally. MHA would hold the title. Back in December 2014, Arkansas Department of Veteran Affairs and the state of Arkansas quit claim the deed located at 4701 West Charles Bussey to MHA. And so from there, at that point, Rodney Fort was the executive director. He asked to deed 2 lots over to the city of Little Rock so we could possibly start development. I know he was trying to submit an application for the Choice Neighborhood application, and so that amount with the cost of construction would be in conjunction with what the cost of to leverage the land would be total amount of over $500,000 to put in the application. I just wanted to go through and give that brief history before I started on it. And so if you go into the presentation that I have, I'm gonna go ahead and skip over since we don't have something visual for the audience other than the commissioners. High Park plat, it actually was 21 lots, initially in the subdivision with 1 community garden. Of course, it was the old Arkansas Department of Veterans site that was demolished. The site is a little over 4.16 acres. As you can see the plat before, and like Chairman Lowe stated, this is south of I-630, but it's north by Charles Bussey, east by Adams Street, and west by Madison Street, and south by 22nd Street. So those are the boundaries of the subdivision. The property is currently undeveloped besides the 2 structures that are there that was developed by the city of Little Rock on a request by MHA. The city of Little Rock Department of Housing Neighborhood Program developed those 2 houses with federal funding. We use Home Investment Partnership Program funds to develop those units. The property at 4709 Charles Bussey is 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, living room, open dining room area, kitchen, laundry, 2-car garage. It's around 1,480 square feet plus or minus, heating and cool. It does have like I said, a 2-car garage. Amenities include stainless steel appliances, custom cabinets, alarm system with cameras. Also, we have washers and dryers that's in the property that we install for the new homeowner.
So basically, when the homeowner moves into the structure, they're just bringing in their clothes and their furniture. The property is Energy Star rated, so on average, their utilities is all electric. It's not gonna exceed $150. And that's, like I said, that's all electric, and so only thing they would have to pay besides that is their water. As you can see in the pictures, it's not, I know some people, when you think about affordable housing, you know, they think about something that's lower grade. The type of structures that we provide, as you can see by the pictures, is high grade. We got stainless steel appliances, we have tile, wood flooring inside, we have crown molding. So it's really nice structures that we have, that we're developing in this area.
So how much per square feet was these two constructions?
So the construction costs on these were a little over $150,000
each.
How many square foot is the house?
1,480 square feet heated and cooled.
And 100 and what, 20-something construction cost?
Yes, it's a little bit higher than what, you know, back then. Now, as far as construction costs, with the cost of lumber has gone up.
Yeah,
So
right.
that's pretty average.
Yeah.
But the thing, when we use federal funds with home investment partnership, we're not looking to make a profit. As you can see, the sales price on these houses is at $135,000. And so we also provide a $20,000 subsidy. I provided that information in here as well.
Are they also eligible for the ASPA subsidy?
Yes, yes. But the $20,000 subsidy that we will provide with these structures, that will cover their down payment and closing costs. So they would come to the table with no money down. And like Kendra stated before, we love to do a partnership. I know at one point MHA had a program for home buyers. If they want Section 8, and I think you all still have it. We definitely want to give them first right of refusal on some of the structures that we'll definitely be developing in this area. If possible, if you all allowed us to take this property. One of the big things that I want to bring up that's in my presentation is the fact that the city of Little Rock is willing and committed to doing the infrastructure. The infrastructure cost was a little over $550,000. If you divide that by the remaining 18 lots, you're looking at $30,000 plus per lot to actually go in and before you do any development to sell to maybe a developer or someone that's willing to build a house. So that will push your actual cost to sell a house to anywhere between $200,000 and $250,000. So it would be an affordable project. And I know you had questions.
The infrastructure is in.
No,
It
sir.
has not.
No,
It
sir.
will be put in once what happens.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So once the city of Little Rock receives the property back,
Then
we'll put the infrastructure in. Yeah.
So currently as it stands,
no,
MHA owns all the remaining lots.
Yes.
and the house.
No, we
No,
don't.
No, not the two houses.
We own the lots.
The-
Well,
the-
the lots were
okay.
deeded over.
Right, right.
The
We own
500,
houses.
so the 500,000 includes the land, just the land.
No, the
Water,
550,000 is
sewage,
just,
It's the
gas line,
infrastructure.
electricity, the infrastructure.
Sidewalks,
Sidewalks,
streets, anything.
What's the value of the land?
I couldn't tell you the value of the land right now.
You can't,
I
okay,
couldn't tell you
all right.
that. But it's vacant raw land right now. Because the only thing, the property was demolished, so. yeah.
Well,
But wait a minute, I thought we paid $100,000 for the old veterans home, for
No,
the
sir.
the property itself.
No, sir. The amount that was paid for the actual home was $50,000. The actual land was $50,000, and $25,000 came from the city, and $25,000 came from me.
Yeah,
Say that
I remember
again.
when that board ordinance came up.
What did you
but
say?
We were
$25,000
told something different.
yeah,
I
but
got you.
let him say it again.
25,000 came from MHA, and 25,000 came from the city of Little Rock.
What did you say before that, though? I'm sorry.
50,000 was the
No,
total.
for the total, lot, all the whole subdivision, but see, that was some, I won't get into that now. I'll get into that later.
Okay. Yeah, so in just completing the presentation, so the estimated cost to develop and install the streets, sewer, curb, and gutter is $550,000. The average comes to about $30,550 per lot.
I got you.
The current cost would not be feasible for a single-family affordable housing development, as houses would have to sell for $200,000 plus for a developer to make a profit.
So we're basically talking about $105 per square foot?
For development, for
Actually build a house there?
You're probably looking at more now with the cost of construction and the increase in construction, anywhere between $100 and $125 a foot.
Okay.
Yeah. And
How many lots?
Excuse me.
21, 20?
It's 18 remaining. Because
18, okay.
It was 21 lots total. 18 are remaining. There's 2 structures there.
Gotcha.
One of the
All right.
lots is dedicated for a community garden. Yeah. The city will use federal and private funds to construct the remaining of the single-family homes. The total development cost is estimated to be around $4 million for everything. That's the infrastructure.
With those federal loans, the low income, the very low income, they get first choice.
Low to moderate income person that's approved, approved home buyer, they would have to go get a mortgage.
Right.
And that's why I stated before, we would love to partnership. have a
Yeah, because it would
partnership.
be, it would be a mixed development, because it would be first come, first served.
Right.
Exactly.
To make this work.
Right.
A lot to digest, okay?
Yeah.
Let me say that and I hear the pros and cons of what you're offering, okay? Simply because if MHA holds on to the property, our investment is way high, okay? If we partner, we go through the door with having more than recoup what we've already got invested. So there's a lot here that like I said, that to be digested as far as this deal, and then of course, is coming to us in rough draft because it still hadn't passed the board, and why would you, we ain't gonna take it, so. So there's a lot to talk about, as far as this, and certainly this is one where the board definitely wants some input from staff, moving forward to whatever might take place with this. But there's a lot to digest, Mr. Chairman. And I think this would fall over on the CAAC side.
Yes.
So there's a lot to digest in this, and certainly CACH would love to have that money. For us to think about. So, Kevin, at this point, I would say let us take this into consideration. Spend some time with our staff. Spend some time with both boards. CACH is about to have a meeting. Weigh the pros and cons of what this is. You see a meal, and on our site, it just looks like, oh, I can't wait to get that. That looks good. And then you start really getting up on it, and you say, well, that really don't look that good after all. So I want us to hopefully spend some time with this.
That's my
and take a look at it and look at the history of what's happening here. You're right, the cost of wood, we looked at projects, we just got through talking with Mr. Woods about what a project that we've been holding on to is going to cost us. So certainly, we want to move forward, but we want to move forward with caution and discretion, with what we know.
Have you did the comparison of wood versus steel frame houses?
No, sir, we have not right now.
But there's a tariff on steel too, remember?
Yeah, but I worked on what Biden took that off.
No, I don't know. Well, like I said, again, a lot of unknowns. So give us a moment to, like I said, visit with staff, roll it over among both boards, and see where we go from here. Certainly, you've given us a lot of good information.
Yeah.
When were both of these completed?
The 2 houses. The 2 houses were completed in 2019.
I thought it was earlier.
It was.
Yeah,
It was before that, wasn't it?
It started in it started in late part of 2018 and was finished in 2019. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, now we can go back. We got Mr. Swanton and Botkin on the line.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Kevin.
All right, we're back to our developers.
Okay, Brian.
Hello, how's everybody doing today?
All right, how you doing today?
Very good, very good. My apologies, John is out this week on vacation, and we have just provided the board an update recently, so I wasn't prepared for today. I didn't know you needed us today, but happy to be here and answer any questions for you as it relates to Sunset Terrace. I can, if you want, I can just give you sort of a quick update on where we're at with Sunset. And then feel free to ask any questions from there. We have been going back and forth securing a letter of intent from our investor, Bank of America. They are still on board. Our pricing is a little bit lower by 2 cents than it was about a year ago. That's just a reflection of the market, but it's still a significantly above market price. I think they're at 97 cents if I remember correctly, and which is very, very strong in the current market. So we've got that lined up where our application is ready to submit. We did send about a week ago a preview of our application budget to ADFA, their executive director, their underwriter, and their staff person there, and have not heard back yet, so I just sent them a follow-up note actually while I was waiting to join and to see where they're at. But as soon as John gets back, we're going to be filing that application early next week with ADFA. It's ready to go. And I think about a week ago, we also sent a summary of the numbers to MHA staff. I don't know if you all have that information in front of you or not, but I have it here on my end and happy to walk you through sort of the capital stack if you want to see that and understand that a little bit better. But long story short, we're pretty much ready to submit this application for the third time's a charm. We have our development costs, not including the acquisition, below $200,000 per unit. The seller carryback note does bring that over $200,000 a unit, but that's not a cost that really needs to be paid or funded. So we're hoping that ADFA looks past that and understands that our true development costs are under their $200,000 per unit number. And we're doing a lot of behind the scenes work as well with the governor directly in the governor's office and the mayor in the mayor's office to make sure that the right phone calls are made and the right outreach takes place once we get this application filed and leading up to our board meeting at ADFA. We're hoping to get to the housing subcommittee of the ADFA board in their mid-April meeting. If we get this application filed next week, that's going to be tight, and ADFA may force us to go to the May meeting. But you know that's kind of the timeline we're on. We'll either be in April or May subcommittee meeting, and either May or June for the full ADFA board approval. So as I mentioned to the board the last time we met about 2 weeks ago, you know, I just asked for your patience. I know it's been sort of an angering process. It's angered all of us, but I really do feel confident that we're in a good place to get ADFA approval. And if we don't, then I think we have to have a sit down and conversation about next steps and sort of how aggressive we want to get with those next steps. But I do ask for your patience as we try and get through this round of the application and try and get this one approved. Because if they do approve it, that's clearly the path of least resistance to get this ball rolling, get the financing closed on yet this year, and start construction. But a lot is resting on this board meeting, so fingers crossed. So that's kind of the general update of where we're at. Happy to answer any questions you all have for me.
And what are the dates of those meetings again?
I don't have the exact dates in front of me. Let me see if I've got that in John's. Let's see, 1 minute. Yeah, I do not have those dates in front of me. I don't know if Nona McVeigh is on, but they have standing meetings generally around the middle of the month. I want to say it's April 17th. I think that's what I remember the date to be for the next subcommittee meeting. Again, that's less than 30 days from now, so my guess is we're going to end up in mid-May. I'm not exactly sure the date of the May meeting, though. But I can look that up, or Nona can look that up and get that to you.
Are there any meetings planned one of the things that came up today was communicating with the residents of Sunset. Are there any scheduled meetings or residential meetings for the folk at Sunset?
We don't currently have any planned. I don't know if MHA staff has been thinking about that recently or not. I'm not aware of anything scheduled. My preference would be, as we sit here in mid-March, not really knowing what the outcome of the meetings are going to be, is to wait until after at least the subcommittee meeting before we engage the residents again. So we have a little bit of a clearer path as to whether this thing is going to move forward on a short timeline or not. But I would definitely take MHA's lead and happy to engage our team to meet with the residents really at any time. I would prefer to wait until at least after the housing subcommittee.
Ms. Hamilton, I know you were aware that we had that as a resident concern.
Right.
So we will defer that back to MHA staffing to look at how we want to move forward since we have received it as a concern.
Yes, and as I shared earlier, Commissioner Anthony, I think in terms of Mr. Dukes, I know he was talking about Paris Towers, but I know the folk, the residents at Sunset were very concerned. I think one of the main things is to make sure, as Myron said, and Myron, forgive me, I can't remember your last name right now, but to make sure that in the notice they can review this live stream, which would give them some information. And I think as we find out more in April, as Brian said, then we need to really go forward so we'll have something a little more concrete. I will check with Dr. Jarman to see when was the last update to residents, and I know that COVID has really put everything, all face-to-face meetings on the back burner during the past year. But if that has been a long time, then maybe Brian, you and your team can just work with us so that we could send a written notice to them, letting them know that we would be back in touch what has transpired since the last one. And because I'm new, I'm not sure when the last update, but I would venture to say it may be a year or more, but I may be incorrect. And if I'm incorrect, then it may not be a need for something in writing to them, just to say, hey, guys, you can review our live stream meeting. Sunset was discussed. This is what transpired since 2020, and we'll be back in touch on a more regular or formal basis as the project proceeds. So we can do that, and if the commission will allow for MHA staff to work with Gorman, we will get something out, and I'll also talk with Dr. Jarman to see what other steps she would also like to take.
Well, I'm saying, why don't we use the technology that we've got now? Because I think most of all our residents have internet access to provide that means of communications, to have those community meetings. It's just an option that, I'm putting out there on the table.
Yes, sir. That's why I said I think we would use, as I mentioned, the design group, and Myron said, and we'll be having some notices going to the residents. And I know Mr. Dukes, if he's still with us, would certainly be amenable to spreading it in his facility. But for Sunset, that would, for those that can get on there. I just didn't know how long the update was between last year and now, or when was the last update. But we will certainly use all of the tools at our disposal that you all have so graciously allowed this to be live streamed today. So we will certainly use this tool.
I'm happy to host as well, a web-based meeting with the residents. If staff determines that that's the direction, I can also fly out at any time and have an in-person meeting, you know, if you guys want to do that. Just let us know. We're happy to make that happen.
Ms. Hampton, we also had in other meetings inquired or requested that the resident commissioner, Mr. Jackson, Commissioner Jackson, be included, especially where we're dealing with our towers, where there might be concerns that they want to bring forward. So if we can, when staff and our developers come together, if Commissioner Jackson could be included in some of that dialogue.
Yes, I know we made arrangements for that the last time, and we have those weekly or bi-weekly calls.
Okay.
So I will follow up again. Mr. Jackson, did you participate in the one from last week?
Yes, yeah, I did.
Okay, so I know we made sure that, and Gorman and I text as appropriate, whichever is applicable. The developers have shared that information on the call, and he's working with the property management on staff as well in certain cases.
Anything else?
I think we were looking at the numbers, Mr. Swinton, and if we're successful with ADVA, and of course the board has been looking strongly at our commitment via capital funds, will there be any impact on those numbers with being successful with ADVA?
In terms of impact on those numbers, I guess I'm not clear what you're asking.
Will there be less dollars requested, or will it stay the same?
Oh, no, we did give the ADFA staff sort of a preview and have not received any feedback. That was about a week ago. So I just followed up with them to see if they have further questions. Our hope is that we're good to go and that we're going to file this application consistent with the numbers that you have seen, and that no changes will be made to that budget. I will note that if you look in the list of permanent financing sources, the one piece that's no longer in there is the National Housing Trust Fund component, which was originally over 3.6 million of an ask. With the fixed 4% tax credit rate that Congress set near the end of last year, that really impacted a significant increase in our investor equity number. And obviously having to reduce our development cost to under $200,000 a unit to appease the ADFA board, that eliminated our need for the National Housing Trust Fund money. So we're really not asking ADFA for much. I mean, we're basically asking for them to approve our ability to tap into a federal non-competitive unlimited source of federal tax credits. And not asking for any gap funding from the state or anything of that nature. So, you know, another reason why I think we should be in good standing. Our costs are in line. We're not asking them for any money. We're just asking for their approval to use a resource that's out there waiting to be used. And if we don't use it, it just goes away. You know, it's not like we're competing with other people for these federal tax credits. This is an unlimited source. So, you know, I'm hopeful, but it's a challenging board. I mean, I think we all recognize that. You know.
That's my question.
But third time's a charm. So yeah, to answer your question, Commissioner Anthony, our hope is that these numbers do not change. I see no reason why they would.
All right, sir.
All right, Mr. Swinton, we appreciate you.
Okay, and we'll keep updating you each month, and fingers crossed. I feel good.
All right.
All right. Have a good meeting. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, bye now.
Mr. Bobkin.
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, Ms. Hampton and staff, pleased to be here to give you an update. As you know, the subcommittee of the members of the board who were present, officially approved our 3 projects. What is strange to me, at least, is the way ADCOG conducts its business.
Yes, sir.
Most places, once you get the approval, you go to the board, you get the final approval, then you have your 4% allocation, you have your bond allocation, and then you proceed with closing of the transaction. We had subsequent meetings with ADCOG. They told us that they want us to go ahead and prepare the final documentation for closing. And once those documentation are complete, then they would entertain their final approval that would give us the final allocation and the tax credit allocation, which is totally strange to me, and nobody has seen anything like that anywhere around the country, but it is what we are dealing with. We tried to make some suggestions to them to make a more cheaper financing structures. They said whatever board has approved, we have to stick to it. If you make any changes, you have to go back for approval. So we are sticking to it. We are starting a kickoff meeting with the lenders and investors and their lawyers and MHA staff on the 23rd of March with ADFA so that we can get the ball rolling. As far as various approvals, we are talked to Maddie Rose and Nona yesterday. We anticipate coming to a CAHC board and maybe also the Housing Authority board to get few resolutions approved. They would be basically approving the financing plan, approving the soft money loans to be made to the projects, so that the lenders and investors at ADFA knows that our source of funding are fully committed to. And there would also be a resolution regarding the FMR settings for the project. So we hope that all of that, if has not already approved, will be approved either on CAHC's board meeting or the MHA board meeting, or both, depending upon what is considered to be the appropriate body to approve by the lawyers. We have the outside date to close the transaction by July 9th. That's the date of the maturity of the current loan. We expect to close by end of June. All of this is predicated upon HUD finalizing its approvals by them. We have provided what we can so far to HUD. Documentations will have to be in some sort of a reasonable, substantially complete form to be submitted to HUD by Coach Rose. And we are trying to follow the several tracks so that we end up for closing by the end of June. Meanwhile, we are going out to receive bids for construction, subcontractors, sometimes in April, early April, and it's going to be an all-inclusive list, which includes everybody who was identified last year through us, MHA and Design Group. Everybody is going to be receiving the opportunity to submit their bid. We will review and make recommendations to MHA, and together we'll decide the subcontractors, and we hopefully will lock in the final amounts so that we can get the final numbers finalized. I'd just like to make sure that it is clear that there are a couple of variables in the process and the numbers that you'll be receiving. Variable one, as I mentioned last time, construction costs have increased substantially. primarily due to higher construction rates of the single-family homes around the country, which has escalated the material cost, and also labor is in short supply somewhat. So all of those will impact the construction costs. That's a variable that we need to be on notice for. And the other is the financing proposals we have, specifically the interest rate, those change on a daily basis. So 5 days before the closing, we'll get the final rate from Freddie Mac. And once we lock in that rate before closing, that rate, if it is better, we'll have some savings. If it is worse, we'll have some shortfalls. And that will happen at the end, 5 days before closing. So those are the variables that we anticipate seeing. Other than that, the relocation issue, communication with the tenants, giving them ample notice and opportunity to ask further questions. As you know, we have had one meeting with the tenants already. We are going to be more specific as to the construction phases and the impacted tenants, and we'll try to work with them individually to see how we can manage to relocate them the most feasible way and with least disturbing their daily routines, meaning that if they are near certain schools, certain communities, they need to be close to where they are familiar with. If they need assistance moving, we'll provide that to them, etc. So those are the various tracks that we are pursuing. But target date to close is end of June, not to exceed July 9th, and hopefully everything will fall in place.
So
I'm
this,
open if you have any questions.
couple of questions. Are our property managers still on track to be trained in April?
Yes, yes.
And two, on the start to finish of Madison Heights and homes at Granite Mountain, what kind of time frame are we looking at?
We are currently targeting 12 months. That timeline is a function of finding available units to move the tenants to. If the availability of units are limited, that would prolong the construction period. If we can make it, we can find large number of units, then the phasing would be shorter and therefore the construction would be less. But roughly, on the average, would be 12 months. But I'd like to note, the total construction period is 12 months. However, if you have 4 phases of construction, that means 25% of the tenants will be relocated. And either the first relocatees will stay for the 12-month period. It cannot be more than 12 months because of the HUD rules. However, the subsequent relocations would be within the development, and it would be probably shorter than 12 months, maybe 4 months, 5 months, in that level. So as far as the tenants are concerned, one set would probably be 12 months, but 75% of the tenants will be 3 or 4 months relocation.
Art, it looks like you get off light today. I don't see any more questions coming from any other commissioners.
That is a nice thing, and I hope that I did nothing wrong to deserve it.
I got one. How many units need to be reserved in order to meet that time frame of 12 months?
Well, realizing that Madison Heights 1 and 2 are adjacent and homes at Granite Mountain is farther away, we have close to 200 units in Madison Heights and 1. I can get the exact number, I apologize. But let's say if there are 200, if we do a 4-phase construction, at each phase we would need about 50 units available. Some of the 50 would be hopefully within the development, Madison Heights 1, 2, and 3, and some would be outside. So right now we have about 30 units, I think, available within Madison Heights 1 and 2, and maybe a few in Madison Heights 3. So we are trying to manage that vacancy to help us do the relocation so that we need about 20 units outside, most of them within the development. The difficulty is that you have to move the one-bedroom family that is occupying one bedroom into a one-bedroom and a two-bedroom into a two-bedroom. The matching the unit type is the most difficult part of this thing. You cannot move a family of 4 into a one-bedroom. You have to get an appropriate size unit to accommodate them. So that would be part of the relocation planning process. Did I answer your question properly?
Yep, thank you. Let me ask you, Bobkin, are you planning on using the HUD rules of not having the same sex in the same room when relocating and doing these?
Would you please repeat the question?
You know, HUD has a rule, okay, and it may be just for Section 8 only, but I know it also applies to public housing, where in allocation, same sex can be in the same room, thereby reducing the number of rooms. Say, for instance, somebody had a 4-bedroom, they had 2 boys and a girl, okay? Those 2 boys, if you had to move them, could be in the same room.
Yes, we will take that into consideration to the extent permissible.
Okay.
We are not going to violate any rules and laws, but we'll take advantage of whatever is feasible.
Okay.
Nothing else? I don't have.
We have nothing else, Bodkin, not today.
We appreciate
Well,
you.
have a lovely afternoon, and until next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, how would y'all like it? You wanna go ahead and take the
Well,
resolution?
on resolution 6770, we still don't have any evaluation on that piece.
Ms. Hampton, has the evaluation of that RFP been done?
Can't hear.
Hello?
Can't hear you.
You're on mute.
I apologize.
That's okay.
One, is this the pest control?
Yes, ma'am.
No, we have not, because we did not have approval from you all to use the form, but you all said the last time that everything was okay, except what you wanted was the duration. And the duration is up to 3 years, and we put that in, revised it, and put it in here. So we can now that you have approved the tool to use and adopted that tool, we can evaluate and bring this back, bring the evaluation back to you. But based on what you said at the February 25th meeting, we moved forward to make the corrections and bring it in the form that you now have it in.
Okay. What about the health insurance? Why did we go with a higher price?
Let me see here. I think, so as plans, and then I'm gonna ask Elena to elaborate if I have it incorrect. So, Ms. McKinney, do you want to elaborate? I thought it was just an increase in the plan, but I may be incorrect. So Elena, is there any information you can share with the commissioners on this?
Yes, ma'am. We decided to stick with the same plan that we have now because the other plan with UAC has more out of pocket for the staff.
But wait a minute, the one that we're asked to approve was higher than what the base was.
Yeah, it's 1,200, that was one, that was 1,200.
One was 682, and the other was lower than that.
Yeah.
I just wonder why we taking higher, why we paying a higher price, that the plan is offering the same thing.
You said the plan is offering the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's the increase from the,
It didn't show that on the documentation that I received.
Not either.
okay.
Elena, let me see if I can help a little bit and you chime in. Our broker brought, what, 3 proposals to us, or was it 4?
It was 4.
And what the chair is asking is why did we go with we opted to stay with the plan because they're looking at that bottom line that says, the bottom line that they're looking at, and I don't have all of that in front of me to see all 4 of them listed out, but they're saying the $1,384.02 plan that we want to choose. The other plans are lower, and he wanted to know why did we not select one of the lower plans. And what I'm hearing you say is that that plan is lower because the out-of-pocket expenses that staff would have to pay would be significantly higher. Am I correct in what I'm explaining to the commissioners, based on what you said?
I don't want folks coming back talking about that.
But that's not what was on the documentation that was sent to us.
It's in the back, it's in the back.
You get the medical
The
comparison?
next page.
Yeah, the medical.
You're talking about the charge.
Yeah, it's in the back.
The copay was higher, is that what you're saying?
Yes, the co-pays are higher.
Oh,
Where is that?
but it's not on,
Where-
it's
where
not,
is
it's
that?
not on.
It's not on here.
It's
Not
not
the
on here.
comparisons.
What she's saying is
Yeah, I
that,
know that they pay, that's the same, what it is, if you look on there.
what?
If you look at the first 2 plans, okay, I think it's some X2, and look at the next plan over, they're offering the same thing, but you're paying a higher price for the second one.
And if I'm understanding again, what she
Oh,
is
I
saying,
thought, wait a
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, wait.
that the cost, but Commissioner, we can review that and bring it back. Elena, are there any, when does our plan expire?
We renew on May 1.
We renew on May 1,
Next,
and we would have to have that in April?
Yes.
We can do that in April, yes ma'am.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, you would allow staff to provide, to review again, and we talk with Dr. Jarman, and we review again, and the information that we will share will list all plans on one sheet, so you can see how they stack up in case, and Elena, forgive me if I'm reading it wrong and you have that in this plan, then let me know and let the commissioners know. But we will look at it. But what we were trying to do, Commissioner, is during COVID, try to keep the same plan we had and make sure that we not add additional costs to our staff.
Right.
Well, Director Hampton, Deputy Director Hampton,
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at the chart, okay? The first plan offers the very same thing that we want to pay a higher price for, okay?
And what we're saying, Mr. Chair, we're gonna send it back to staff.
That's right.
for their
Because I don't
review.
see no increase out of pocket. Those 2 columns have the same
It's
thing.
not.
Yeah, it's not.
We're gonna send it back and let you review it and bring
Yes.
it back in the April meeting.
Yes, we will do that. And then we will make sure that we have it, and then we can confer with Dr. Jarman, because there may be additional information that I'm not privy to, and that she certainly can share. But we will make sure that it is, that we'll be able to answer all questions.
All right, ma'am.
Elaine, anything that you would like to add that we may not be considering at this time?
The only thing is normally, our Terry Ballard comes and explains something. If you guys would like her to come to the next meeting, I can reach out to her.
No, I think we get, as long as we look at the numbers,
Yeah.
we'll be fine.
Yeah.
As long as we have the numbers, we'll be fine.
All right. Thank you so much, and thank you, Elena.
Thank you.
So what is your pleasure? To offer a motion to table
To table
these
both.
two matters?
Table both resolutions 6770 and 6771.
Motion.
Second.
Moved and properly second that we table resolution 6077 and 6771. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, none. Those two items are tabled. Motion for executive session?
In the absence of,
We have an additional resolution, Mr. Chair, for our pest control.
we
We
table
table
both
both of those.
We table both.
You're tabling both of them again?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, in the absence of Dr. Jarman, the issues that were of concern are best taken up with Dr. Jarman. So we will not do executive session today.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Been moved and properly second that we adjourn. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. We are adjourned.
Now she comes up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So how was your first experience?
Brother Eddie, I appreciate you, man.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
How do we sign out? We signing out.
They sign out.
Okay.
Bye. What is she doing? Bye.
Would you give me a